The Flash Season 2 just ended, just aired its finale, but that means it's the perfect time to start speculating about Season 3. I am Terri Schwartz. I am here with Joshua Yale.
Yo.
And we are going to dive into full spoilers. Literally, we just finished watching the Flash Season 2 finale and came down here to try and unpack it because there's a lot to unpack. So consider this your spoiler warning. Run away like Barry Allen if you have not watched it yet and come back when you have. But there was like a lot packed into the end of this finale. Like we got Jay Garrick is Henry Allen, is the Man in the Mask. Awesome, cool, great. Like we get Barry and Iris's first real kiss. Awesome. And then Barry Allen goes back in time and actually does save his mom and seems to end the continuity of basically the first 2 seasons.
If I understand my time travel right, he completely erased the continuity of the show.
Yeah, so like just apparently like just scrub seasons 1 and 2, which is a bit surprising, and what people immediately jumped to, you know, in the comics, on Twitter, in our conversation, was this idea of Flashpoint, which was a comic book that became a DC animated movie called Flashpoint Paradox. So you might see it referred to in both of those ways, where Barry does go and save his mom, but then when he goes back to the present, basically all hell breaks loose.
It's the worst, but the thing is, it won't be, like the world could not be worse. And the thing is about that story is people are like, oh, are they gonna adapt that? You can't really adapt that story because when he comes back, it's all about how the Justice League are now is completely different, really weird like spots in their life. Like Wonder Woman and Aquaman are like warring, they're like warlords, and they're like Aquaman floods Europe with like Atlantis, and like Shazam is now 5 little kids who like
well, it's like
who like merge into Shazam, and like Batman, his parents died, or no, sorry, no, he died, and then his dad became Batman, his mother became the Joker, because she went crazy from grief. So as you can see, the reason I'm listing all these off is that none of those characters are in Flash. So I think they could take the idea of he comes back and he thought he was fixing things for the better. Maybe everyone would be alive and happy because his mother was never killed and these series of events never unfolded, but actually things are way worse.
I think it's a really interesting concept, and it's true, like, you can't do a direct adaptation, but you can take, Jeff Johns tweeted after this that he saw shades of Flashpoint in this finale. Shades of Flashpoint,
which I think implies that it's not a direct adaptation. Again, it's sort of like, oh, what we did there, we might do a little of that in the show.
And I didn't really think about this until you started mentioning how like things were so crazy and all the different timelines, but like we do know that there is going to be a big, it's now Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and now Supergirl, who's going to be on the CW in the fall. Like there is going to be a big crossover, except that's in December, which is a couple months after this premieres. Maybe that could be some interesting riff on this, but still, like, I think we're both just like a little confused, trying to figure out how this would work out. And so I'm a list person. I was like, all right, let's break it into pros and cons of what this could be. And again, like we just watched this. Maybe there's like some great context that breaks this down a little bit more for us in the coming days.
I bet someone from the show is going to give like an interview that maybe explains this a little better. But this is us just our cold theories.
Yeah, and we want to hear yours as well. It goes without saying. We definitely want to hear your pros and cons. But so for me, the pro is that Barry Allen flat out acknowledged that he's a darker version of himself. That's why he can't be with Iris at the end of this season. We could go down that path. We really could get into some dark Barry Allen, especially after he just came from this point an episode ago where he was like, everything's fine and dandy and wonderful and like the Speed Force and stuff. Also, I was getting really sad when Harrison Wells was going back to Earth 2 because I was like, oh, how are we going to get Tom Cavanaugh on the show? Like, I just assumed, oh, maybe they're switching mentor relationships or whatever.
And his raspy whisper voice.
Now, like, we defeated Eobard Thawne, so Harrison Wells seemingly should still be on Earth 1 in the storyline. Keep coming up with excuses for Tom Cavanaugh to stay on the show. Do you have any pros as well in addition to those?
I feel like you nailed it.
Okay.
Because because at first I'm like, oh, interesting, but then that all like
So
falls away into like utter confusion.
Yeah, if those are our two pros, why don't you just dive into some of the cons that you feel about this?
Well, of just that, first there's the feeling that, oh, everything that already happened has been deleted. I doubt that's actually what's going to happen, but that's the feeling you're left with of this. Also, they're doing Flashpoint, but they can't do that, so it's like, I have no idea what to expect now, so that's a little like frustrating just from like...
Which I guess like that can be fine,
that's
right?
Fine.
It's
that's
not,
fine.
but
I can't be a comic book know-it-all all the time.
But I will say, sort of building off that, it's not just, it was like a confusing tease instead of an exciting tease. Like the end of season 1 was exciting.
Yeah, like you were fist pumping as he's like winding up that portal and like going super speed to save the world. Like that was crazy, and you understood what it meant, right? Whereas this is like, huh? Like
wait, nothing.
The season 2 has been kind of full of kind of moments. Like Zoom, it didn't really work out in the end for me, and all the twists they felt really forced and confusing, and not like aha twist of like maybe there's still mystery, but I don't even understand the context of what you're showing me.
Well, speaking of one of those twists, which is the reveal of Jay Garrick, who is like the Jay Garrick everyone wanted, I thought that really landed. I thought that was really cool. There was good payoff to it. But like, what does that mean? We aren't doing that? Like, I had a chance to talk to John Wesley Shipp. I actually did it before I knew that was going to be the reveal, so I talked to him about that. But now I'm like, he was talking like there's going to be maybe an interesting mentor-mentee relationship between Barry and Jay, and like I think that would be really cool. And we know he's on Earth 3, so maybe that's not affected by this, or maybe it is. You know,
does
like,
that count in the multiverse? I don't know.
Like how much does this reset? Is it just Earth 1 or not? But I mean, that was a really cool setup to me and something I'd like to see explored. And I'm nervous that maybe as the writers break down season 3, which will probably happen soon-ish, that maybe, I don't know. Like, I'm assuming you don't introduce that only to say, well, we aren't going to do anything with it. Right. But now I'm like, I really want that to be a part of this story because I think that could be so important.
Yeah. I feel like they just wanted to end on a cliffhanger really bad, and it didn't work for me. I don't know. But I suppose you have to generate some sort of buzz for the next season. But.
Yeah, and well, I also do think like the other bummer for me is they were setting up these cool storylines with Jesse Quick and Wally West, like setting up, could they be speedsters with Barry, and like that's something that can be yet to come. I'm fine with that, but I feel like you built up to that and then bring everything seemingly back to square one. It seems like a misstep for me, but. Yeah.
Well, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen.
Maybe
maybe he goes back and he's no longer the Flash, has no powers, but Wally West is the Flash, like a fully fledged Flash, and it's awesome.
Will say, like, again, we just watched it. We're confused by this, and that's not the reaction I wanted to have from this finale. But the Flash has earned my trust. Like, I believe that they can come back from it with something cool. Season 1 worked so well. I do think there was a lot of stuff in season 2 that worked. Not everything. That's fine, not a sophomore slump really, but I'm more confused than necessarily excited.
I'm right there with you.
All
confused.
Right. Well, we're confused. Maybe everyone else will have figured it out, like Jay Garrick quick before us. But we want to know, what are your sort of pros and cons looking ahead to season 3? What did you think about this cliffhanger? Did it work for you? What about any of the other elements of the episode, like the kiss or the Jay Garrick reveal? Did that land? We want to know all your thoughts on the finale. We are going to be sure to keep talking about it as we wait for season 3 to premiere. So for all things The Flash, keep it here at IGN.